Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Hey, you know what I love about the end of July? You know what I love?
Is it rubbing your nipples like you just did?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. By the way, the thing I love the most about the end of July is that we get back to school commercials. Those are my favorite commercials.
I actually don't love those at all.
I love them. They're my favorite.
What are you watching that as commercials?
To what? Lots of YouTube, actually. Actually, no, I have premium, so I do the YouTube premium thing. It's so much better.
People laugh at you like, you're a dork. Dude, I love it.
I watch so much YouTube that it makes sense to have premium, honestly. It's the best subscription I have. Besides SDPN. I want to announce, though, a back-to-school event, but it's not actually. It's round 2 of the Steve Dangle Podcast at the Course and Clubhouse in St. Catharines, Ontario. We were there last year, sold over 200 seats, which is amazing. Remember, St. Catharines hub for indoor golf. They have 5 HD golf simulators that feature 40 real golf courses. And they obviously have a full kitchen and bar, and the food's amazing.
Really good.
Remember there were frog legs on the menu? Like
I do
actual
remember this.
legit. This is crazy. So excited. It is going to be on the 21st of September, which is going to be a blast to be at. And obviously we had an amazing time last year, but this is round 2 at the Course and Clubhouse. We're also excited to welcome our friends from ODR Hockey Heroes back. This game has been in development for a while, and independent games take a long time. You could try the game out there. You can play as me, Steve, or Jesse in the game, which I believe is pretty neat.
Yep. Hell yeah.
And Jesse, are you open to doing another longest drive competition against members of the SDP family?
Yeah, so the Course and Clubhouse, if you're not aware, it's a golf simulation bar. It's fantastic. They have so many different bays, and last year I set the longest drive, and then all night somebody tried to beat it. And it came down until like the last 20 minutes we were there. I think 2 people finally beat it.
Yes.
One guy beat it, and then another guy beat his record. And I thought I was going to have it all night, and then I didn't. But this year I'll do it again.
Now,
we'll see.
Should you have the ability to re-challenge, once you've hit your longest drive, should you have the ability to go back and if somebody beats you, try to beat them?
No. I think that's the fun is that you set your score and then that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesse, you're a competitive guy. What was the score?
I don't remember.
Shut up.
I honestly couldn't.
Man, I would remember that forever if I had to drive.
100%.
No. I would tell people. I put it on a shirt. I put it on a shirt like gym stats. You know?
I brought my own clubs too, so I got to use my own driver, which was fantastic because Drew and I played around in the Niagara region beforehand. Before the
that's
show,
amazing.
because the show was on. It was on the Saturday, and all day we're just okay, we got to drive down to Niagara. Let's go early so we avoid the traffic. You remember that traffic? It was brutal.
It was
Sure.
awful.
It was an awful
Why
Saturday.
does anyone live west of Yonge Street?
No, it was
Awful
a
Saturday
terrible
until
drive.
the event, right?
Well, it's just the traffic. Traffic sucks.
Yeah.
Traffic
Everybody knows
sucks.
Niagara traffic.
But so we went down early and we played the city course, and apparently we really lucked out into a good course, and I got to bring my own driver and set that score, and then somebody beat it. Dang nabbit. So
Well,
I'll set a new one that hopefully no one beats it.
I hope you guys do that again, and I hope you're ready to try to beat Jesse. And you know what? We'll put together some prizes for people there. We got a bunch of stuff that we've been luckily gifted that we should give away.
There's going to be a 50-50 draw the night of, and if you want to go, the link is in the description of this podcast that you're listening or watching to right now.
Tickets are $20, and there are 200 seats available. 200.
Pew, pew, pew.
I'm pretty excited about this. It was lots of fun, a great way to kick off the year. Now, it's so funny. We recorded most of our shows at the beginning of last week, and a lot happened at the end of it, including the start of the Olympics and other fun things. But the thing that we didn't get to cover, which obviously had to break on the one day we were not recording a show, was Edmonton hiring former Blackhawks general manager Stan Bowman. Now, the reason that this is controversial, if it's not already obvious to you, I should give some context here, is that Stan was one of the guys, along with Joel Quenneville, who was banned from hockey after the Kyle Beach allegations came out. Now, I say allegations. These have been proven. They happened. But once the Kyle Beach case broke, the NHL had an investigation. Jenner and Block had an investigation, which is an Illinois law firm, and it found that management this was poorly handled.
In direct violation of their own HR policies.
Bingo. And this comes down to a meeting, as we understand it, between president of the club, John McDonough, Stan Bowman, Joel Quenneville, and I believe there was another person. Al McIsaac as
and
well.
Kevin Cheveldayoff, I think, might have been in there.
Right. So there were certain people that were basically what happened was John McDonough said, I'll handle this, and didn't. And the reality is that if you have a policy in place, and by the way, this just goes for human experience, if this happens, you report it. End of story. It's over.
Right.
End of story. All 5 guys could report it separately. Still, then it's reported. But that is not how the Hawks handled it. Now, there was a lot of outrage about this signing or about this hiring. We knew it was going to happen for a long, long time. We knew.
Yeah, it was rumored.
And Joel Quenneville is also, by the way, eligible to work in the NHL again.
Yep.
So I don't think it'll be long before somebody hires him. I think probably by December, when the first coach is fired, Joel Quenneville is probably back in.
I'm not totally sure.
Okay. Well, long story short, there's a couple of things that are different with Stan than they are perhaps with Joel. Specifically that Sheldon Kennedy, who is the original hockey player, NHL player, who came out and said, I was abused sexually, which was a huge deal in the 90s. I remember I had Sheldon Kennedy's hockey card and didn't even mention that. Sheldon Kennedy, a very brave person, a trailblazer, unfortunately, in this area. I guess Stan, he stood up there with Stan Bowman and said, this guy has done a lot of work. And I guess there was a conversation with Kyle Beach. There were not conversations with the other person who is in litigation right now, Black Ace 2, and the families, the young men who've had their lives changed since these events. But the long story short is there is so much more to this than just the press conference. Wanted to get it out there. Where do you guys want to take it?
Hard to know. I mean, there's should we go with what we might have forgotten?
Sure.
So what I don't think people understand, because I believe it was mentioned, Kyle Beach and Stan Bowman have spoken since the incidents regarding the Chicago Blackhawks, and Sheldon Kennedy is up there and Bowman's done the work. And a lot of people are like, listen, if there's a way you're going to do it, this is the way you do it. You speak to Kyle Beach, you work with an organization like Sheldon Kennedy's. If someone is going to be afforded a second chance, this is how you get it. The problem is this story is so deep. There's so many different parts of it, and the story broke over such a long period of time that a lot of people don't fully understand it. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, this isn't everyone's life. My living is I get to sit down and read about this. And if anyone interrupts me reading about it, I go, excuse me, I'm working. You know what I mean? Not everyone gets that luxury. You come home from a long day of work, you're super dad, you're super mom, you're doing homework, you're doing whatever. So let me remind you, and I'll go a little bit through a thread that I posted. There's a video on Sportsnet's YouTube channel where the Wirtz is Rocky and Danny. Rocky is no longer with us. Go through. They introduced the Jenner and Block report. A representative from Jenner and Block, Reed Shar, I think was his name, reads the entire report over 17 minutes. I think it's important to watch the whole video. And I remember one of the things that stood out to me at the time, and it's very interesting how things have played out since, is how complimentary they were at that time, on that exact day, of Stan Bowman. Because the day that report was released, he resigned. He stayed on as the Blackhawks general manager. He announced their pick at the draft several months before, and he brought members of women's hockey
I forgot.
up onto the stage. So, and that went sort of under the radar because the 31st pick that year was Logan Mailloux. And everyone was losing their mind about that. And Gary Bettman, I know for a fact, was extraordinarily upset about that. And then the very next pick, the last pick of that round, the last pick of the night, because it's the first round of the draft, Stan Bowman comes up with, all these women's hockey players as a sign of, like, listen, that is a good thing to do, but when
he tried to use it as like a shield to protect him. Like, here's I'm standing next to a bunch of women. I'm good.
Yeah.
I remember us discussing at the time. Now that you bring it up, like it was gross.
Well, and like we work on this show together, and even you're like, oh yeah,
100%.
And it's funny to me hearing you say, oh yeah, because I went back and I looked at our reaction at the time, and that was the part you were like most fired up about. Mm-hmm. You're like, I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, and a year later, I completely forgot it happened until you just said it.
Exactly. But I remember at the time, the Blackhawks were very complimentary of the way Stan Bowman conducted himself on his way out. So this is before he's done any work on the road to redemption or whatever you want to call it. Also in my thread, I posted Kyle Beach's interview with Rick Westhead, where, it's over 20 minutes and it's agonizing, but I think it's important. Again, there's a lot of people with really strong feelings about this. And, what's that saying? People won't always necessarily remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. People remember being angry about this, but they don't necessarily remember all the details, right? You can't
be faulted for that.
Yeah,
human beings.
They remember how they felt about that, and Kyle Beach goes through a lot of things with Rick Westhead. What a lot of people forget, and again, you can be forgiven, but it is extraordinarily important to this story, is Rick Westhead does another interview because Brad Aldrich was not, the video coach for the Chicago Blackhawks, was not imprisoned for what he did to Kyle Beach. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he was ever actually charged with a crime with regard to anything he actually did with the Chicago Blackhawks. What happened was after he left the Blackhawks, after he was given the opportunity to resign from the Chicago Blackhawks without an investigation, he went to a high school in Michigan and he sexually assaulted a minor. Rick Westhead did an agonizing interview with the mother of the individual who was assaulted, who's now an adult. That's a grown man trying to get through grown man life. And she details the many, many struggles he's facing as a result of what happened to him at the hands of Brad Aldrich, and many would argue at the negligence of the Chicago Blackhawks. If they had dealt with this properly at the time, maybe his abuse ends there. Maybe that's where it ends. I tweeted this. Often forgotten in all this is the young Blackhawks intern that Aldrich made an unwanted sexual advance toward, as highlighted in this article. It's from Sports Illustrated. I'll read it to you. About 2 weeks later, on May 23rd, 2010, right after Chicago advanced to the Stanley Cup final, general manager Stan Bowman, top hockey executive Al McIsaac, team president John McDonough, executive vice president Jay Blunk, and assistant GM Kevin Cheveldayoff met with coach Joel Quenneville and mental skills coach Jim Gary to discuss the allegations that were made towards Brad Aldrich by Kyle Beach and I believe by another Blackhawks player. Former federal prosecutor Reed Shar, who led the investigation, said accounts of the meeting vary significantly, but there was no evidence that anything was done about the accusations before McDonough contacted the team's director of human resources on June 14th, a delay that violated the franchise's sexual harassment policy, according to Shar. During those 3 weeks, Aldrich continued to work for and travel with the team. Shar said Aldrich also made an unwanted sexual advance toward a 22-year-old Blackhawks intern. And I said all that to be like, listen, there's all these things that, we've maybe forgotten over time. And then I realized, or someone pointed out, that I had actually forgotten another aspect of that. I said, case in point, I forgot to add to this thread that a second Blackhawks player, a lot of people don't know this, a second Blackhawks player filed a lawsuit in November, less than a year ago. This past January, the Blackhawks asked the court to dismiss the lawsuit, and I linked to a Rick Westhead article dealing, going through the details there. This is an extraordinarily messy, many-layered, and difficult thing to understand. And it all leads back to the Blackhawks' failure. But this is not something the Blackhawks have paid for. They're still in legal proceedings, in part due to their lack of action. There was a question at Stan Bowman's press conference that didn't get nearly enough press, but again, it's July. Rick Westhead tweeted this out. New Oilers GM Stan Bowman said he has built a positive relationship with Kyle Beach over the past year. Good. Mm-hmm. Good. Are we all in agreement that's good? Mm-hmm. Good. But Rick will not lose sight of Kyle Beach isn't the only person involved here. Bowman was asked today if he has contacted John Doe 2, the high school player sexually assaulted by Brad Aldrich after he left the Blackhawks organization in 2010. Bowman didn't answer directly. He said, anyone negatively impacted, I feel for them, and I certainly wish they don't go through it. John Doe 2 doesn't have the freedom to share, this is now Rick speaking, John Doe 2 doesn't have the freedom to share his perspective and story publicly unless and until the Blackhawks release him from a non-disclosure agreement he had to sign when the NHL team settled his lawsuit. And then he linked to, again, the interview with John Doe 2's mother. The NDA that young man had to sign is monstrous. Monstrous. And it's one of the most shameful, struggling to find the words, like, without just flying off the handle. It's one of the most monstrous aspects of the Blackhawks' crimes, frankly. The fact that we will, the fact that that person is basically, here's your money and let's just sweep this under the rug forever. So, all that to say, does Stan Bowman deserve another opportunity? I think a lot of people were pretty reasonable in their takes. A lot of people were just like, yes, point blank, he's done the work, great. A lot of people were like, no, there's nothing he could ever do, get away from hockey forever, go away. Then a lot of people were like, okay, fair enough, he's done the work, he's obviously remorseful. Why GM? Did he have to start at GM? There's only 32 of these jobs in the world, and it had to start at GM? He couldn't have done this for this team or this for the... He couldn't have been special advisor, couldn't have been assistant GM, assistant to the GM. He couldn't have been...
I want to ask this too, because I think, obviously, as you mentioned, there are two very polarized sides on this. For me, if it's possible for anybody, take the Edmonton Oilers game away from winning the cup. Mm-hmm. Okay, mm-hmm. Vibes are good. You then bring in a general manager who has won cups, but a general manager who was given a Lamborghini with the engine running when he stepped in. Let's be honest.
What, are you talking about Edmonton or Chicago?
I'm talking about Chicago.
That dude is unreal at inheriting teams that are a hair away from a Stanley Cup.
He walked into like I said, a Lamborghini with the engine running.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then proceeded to dismantle the team in an effort to get better, and did a very poor job of it. And you know what trade I'm going to mention. But there are a bunch of others too. And, Saad for Panarin is the most egregious, but there are bad contracts everywhere. There are bad decisions, listening too much to the players, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just the hockey part of it, leaving this, I don't want to call it a scandal because it's not a scandal. Scandal to me is like, oh, you were caught sleeping with somebody you shouldn't have been. This is a tragedy. Leaving the tragedy aside, I don't see how this person really does make the Oilers better. And that's my question is, okay, so fine. You believe for whatever we think, the Edmonton Oilers believe that Stan Bowman's done the effort enough that they believe that having him in their organization will be a positive, right? They're going to spend millions of dollars. They're going to bring this guy in, and he's going to be the guy ostensibly who is tasked with getting Leon and Connor a Stanley Cup, maybe 2. My question is, the last few years of his run were not good.
Oh, they were horrible. It's similar to the conversation that we had with Bill Peters, where not only did he do something bad and should be fired for that thing that he did, also he's a bad coach.
He's not even good at his job.
He was never was never good in Carolina.
Yeah, like the argument with Stan Bowman is like, okay, not only is this a whole kettle of fish, he's also not that great.
It's also a bad hockey decision. I don't think Stan Bowman has been a good GM ever in his career, just as you've outlined. And the thing that really I can't stop wrestling with is the Edmonton Oilers have a history of doing this within their organization, of hiring guys, bringing on guys with questionable pasts or who have just been in some sort of controversy. It happened with Evander Kane, who went through his issues in San Jose in his personal life, and they bring him in because they didn't care. It happened this past season with Corey Perry, who was banished from the Blackhawks, and they said, we're going to bring on Corey Perry. It happened with Jake Virtanen. After Jake Virtanen's issues, they brought him in for a PTO during training camp, and then he eventually just didn't make the team because he sucks. And then now it's happened with Stan Bowman. Eventually, it stops becoming a coincidence, and it is just a pattern. That's 4 separate individuals, all within the last, 3-4 years? Like, Kane would be the first one on that list. That's very recent memory that you're bringing in these 4 guys who all have a hit. Like, I get that everybody in your organization is going to be a person you agree with or an upstanding individual in society that's just everyday life. There are these people, but this is a very public company that they have, where you're beholden to an audience of your fans, and they have a history of doing this. And I question the morals of the Edmonton Oilers from the top down, in that they just choose to do this time and time again. And why does Stan Bowman deserve? I get, like, okay, he thinks that some people think he's done the work. Sheldon Kennedy does, but why does he still deserve to work in the toy factory? Like, he doesn't have to be an NHL GM. He can go do something else with his life, and we can all just move on from that. It's just, I can't stop wrestling with that. This organization doing this consistently time and time again.
Here's what I wonder. Obviously, he had failings in 2010. I think in some ways he's being rewarded for what's happened since. Because they want to encourage what he's done since. And that's going to catch a lot of you off guard. But my theory at the time, and this was, confirmed in not so many words by the Blackhawks, is I think he was extraordinarily cooperative during the investigation. Whether he was just doing the right thing or he was throwing an executive he already didn't like very much under the bus. Maybe that executive deserved all of it. The Blackhawks sure made it seem like that. It is all this guy's fault. Stan had nothing to do with it. He's done work with Sheldon Kennedy's organization. He resigned without giving anyone any trouble. Really, I think they're trying to reward, or maybe the league isn't sorry to see him rewarded after being, for lack of a better term, low maintenance. You know what I mean? Like, there are many ways you could have tried to fight this. And I think this is part of the reason why I'm not convinced it's going to go the same for Joel Quenneville.
Tell me about that.
We haven't really heard about any of this with him. We've heard, like, I think he might have spoken to
He did do that one talk in September last year with
Kyle
the NHL
Beach
GMs or something.
Yeah, he did a talk with the NHL. He has been reinstated, but the Blackhawks over and over and over again went out of their way to talk about what a stand-up individual Stan Bowman is, and they thanked him for his time and his cooperation. And I just haven't gotten the same feeling from Joel, other than they're trying to be like, all right, has enough time passed? The argument always seems to be, well, I'm sure he's learned his lesson or whatever. Whereas Stan has tried to show remorse and try to. I'm not saying this to justify it, by the way.
I don't think anybody in their right mind would accuse you of that.
I mean,
nobody's like, the SDP is going to come out and justify this.
No, yeah. Well, you never know.
And if you do think that, I don't know what to tell you.
No, well, like, I cheer for a team, and if I were to find out that team was talking to Stan Bowman and thinking about hiring him, I'd hit the roof. I wouldn't want it. Oh, are you saying he can't work
there
anywhere?
were plenty of Oilers fans that didn't want it. There was a petition with thousands of signatures.
Oh, I know.
Not that it's going to change anything, but
and in Canada too. Like, I'm surprised by the whole thing. Quenneville, again, I've brought this up before, but I'm sorry. I know I did wrong, and then all these family members are on Twitter being combative and saying, well, he did nothing wrong. Whereas Stan is just sort of, falling on his sword would maybe be the term. I throw myself to the mercy of the court, and I'm going to work with these guys and these guys. If Joel is doing that, he's doing it very quietly. I think that's the long and short of it. I'm not certain he'll be back.
What I think for the whole thing, for me, what it boils down to is a failure of the system of the NHL. Because Stan Bowman got hired as general manager of the Edmonton Oilers because he was able to. He was reinstated on July 1st, and the NHL said if anybody wants to hire him, they can. And the Edmonton Oilers did something that they were allowed to do at the end of the day. And the people who could have stopped all of this is the NHL. Like when Pete Rose bet on baseball, he was banned for life. You do not have the option to have Pete Rose on your team as your head coach, as within your organization. He is banned. The NHL decided that these guys are okay to come back and that it's fine. But when it was found out what they did during the whole Kyle Beach thing and the investigation came out, it should have been point blank that, hey, it's over. It's you've committed a cardinal sin. You've committed a criminal act by allowing this individual to go on and work within the team and then go on to commit sexual assault crimes. And that should have been it. You should have lost your ability to work in this fun space of the NHL. And the NHL at the end of the day said, Gary Bettman decided, because he's the ultimate decision maker here. He said, no, they can come back and they can do everything despite what they did in the past. And for me, the failing is the entire system of allowing these guys to be able to work here again, because that decision should have been taken out of everybody's hands and they should have put their foot down. You're done. Like, you're done here forever.
Here's what the NHL would say to that is, if you don't provide a path back, if you don't provide some way to right your wrongs, then you're
you think fewer things will get unearthed?
Well, yeah, because they have more of an incentive to hide things. And I think so what my issue with the way the NHL's handled this is that, okay, so you want these guys to go out and do the work because you want them to have a path to redemption. Now, we can agree and disagree on whether or not that is the right thing to do. My issue is that the NHL should have stage managed this, meaning that they should have said, listen, You are publicly going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You are going to be accountable to the public. You're going to be accountable to the fans, and then we'll make a call.
Adam, but like if a player on the Blackhawks bet on a game, would he have the opportunity to work back?
He'd never be allowed
and
back.
Work again in the NHL? No.
He would never have the
because they think that's worse than covering up an actual crime that affects other human beings.
Right.
The integrity of the game in sporting it means more, and I don't think that should be the case. I think what they did here within the league and the organization and the team should be as impactful as that, and that to me is as big a sin as like, oh, you're making up you're affecting the rules of the game by betting on it.
And I think the nuance of that would be that the NHL looks at this like it's a failing from a guy. John McDonough did tell these guys, I will handle this. You focus on the hockey. And then he didn't handle it. So what the NHL is doing is going, no, actually, just as a warning to everybody, you all are responsible if you find out about something like this, and you better fucking report it. That's what they're saying. But so I think listen, if it had been in Stan Bowman's hands and he hadn't done anything, there's no way he's allowed back. John McDonough, the guy that was running the Blackhawks, is too old to come back. He's a guy that worked under the Wirtz family. He has not had a good reputation around the NHL generally. Nobody liked this guy. It was a culture of fear in the Blackhawks anyway, from everything that I've heard. And so I think that's, whether it's right or wrong, I think that's why they're doing it this way, is that they think, okay, we're sending a message, this is it, and we're not doing this again. I think if this ever were to happen again, I think, Jesse, I don't think there's no road back for if this were to happen again.
I think you set the precedence the first time. Like, I don't think they should have the option to come back. Like, knowing what they did and seeing everything, the cover up, and then what has gone on to happen to John Doe too and everything. Like, I don't know. I don't think the option should be in the hands of other teams to hire these individuals.
And I think you're absolutely right on the money, by the way, when you say, okay, so like Shane Pinto had some dumbass friend gamble on his account while Shane was playing hockey. He didn't gamble on games. Like, people taking shots at Shane Pinto for having a whatever account. Like, I get that it's a funny joke or whatever, but like at the end of the day, his crimes were pretty limited.
He was irresponsible.
He was irresponsible. It was a boneheaded move. Hey, who hasn't been stupid when you're 22? The reality is most of us are not stupid on that on a big stage, right? So you can get away with things that normally doesn't happen. The integrity of the game, and this is where the NHL seems to not understand things, and I think Jesse made a really good point here, is the integrity of the game means having people in management who have integrity. And that part is very hard to square. And the Edmonton Oilers, like, there's a ton of Oilers fans who are going to be like, fuck you, you're Leaf fans, who cares? And I get it. Like, fine. If that's how you want to do it, that's totally cool. If you can sleep, that's cool.
Yeah.
They would have said that before the intro. I'm not worried.
Yeah, they were saying that anyway. But I would say that I think a lot of Oilers fans and a lot of hockey fans, if it were their team, would want more. I do want my management teams. Yeah, you can be quirky and weird. Like, Dubas was quirky and weird, and he still is. But that's a stand-up guy, from what I know. Generally a stand-up guy. You can like Treliving's moves. You can hate Treliving's moves. If you're from Calgary, you probably hate a lot of his moves. Seems like a genuinely good person. That is important to me. These are public. Like, listen, if it's a politician, ideally you want them to not be a piece of shit, right? Mm-hmm. You know that, like, you want to not be voting for.
That's hard to come by.
Yeah, hard to come by in politics. Yeah. But like, I feel like, as you said, there's 32 jobs. There are not just 40 candidates. There are plenty of good candidates out there.
Like, that's, you come back and you circle that. Stan Bowman is not one of the 32 best general managers on planet Earth.
He's not the best.
No,
he wasn't when he was employed.
Available.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, Jeff Jackson, like, it's a curious decision from somebody who just built so much goodwill over the last couple of weeks, just from like the
he made some
strictly great management, like, roster decisions. Off ice now with this signing, it's very curious.
We were making fun of Jim Matheson for saying Keith Gretzky would be a good fit. I think a lot of people would prefer Keith Gretzky to this.
Well, I saw,
and we all tease Jim Matheson about his, like, extremely Oilers takes, but like
someone was like, someone told me they're like, it came down to Keith Gretzky, Brad Holland, or
by the way,
Stan Bowman.
It did not come down to Brad Holland.
No,
It didn't though.
but
We know that it.
I couldn't help that. I respond to this person. I'm like, so wait, the candidates were Gretzky's brother, Ken Holland's son, and Stan Bowman's son, or sorry, rather, Scotty Bowman's son, who was involved in one of the biggest scandals the league has ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the real list.
I also don't think that was the real
I would
list.
hope not.
And by the way,
all three of those guys work for the Oilers.
and let's not listen. I'm not here to diminish Brad Holland. I'm not here to diminish Keith Gretzky. Those guys have worked long and
right.
hard years. And did they have listen? There are plenty of people in many industries that whenever you see like a plumber, it's like so and so and son. Nepotism.
Yes.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. Oftentimes, it's a human thing. We go into the same things that our parents were in. Oftentimes, we do.
Well, when we started this company, I hired exclusively my worst enemies.
Yeah. My point is, and I think we've fleshed this out. It doesn't make a lot of sense from a hockey perspective. It certainly doesn't make sense from a integrity perspective. Not taking away from the work that Stan Bowman has done, which is great. Why did it have to be GM? And I think that was a great question, Jess.
I think it's entirely possible you can work your way back. I think it's lazy and irresponsible to be like, oh, well, he's spoken to Kyle Beach.
Yeah.
There's that done.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is we get to hear that story. John Doe too. We'll never hear from that person again.
Right. And since this person is going to be, Jeff Jackson hid his Twitter account.
No,
He knew this was coming.
Well, he hit it for me a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know why you're blocked by him.
I don't know.
But he locked his tweets down before this press conference. And he probably knew what was coming.
Very innocent behavior.
My question is going forward, or I guess my statement going forward would be he's hired now. Mm-hmm. You're not going to undo that. Mm-hmm. This guy has zero latitude. There is no room for any sort of anything.
Oh, I know.
You better be above board and open and honest about just about
Does he
everything.
keep doing the work, or is he like, did it? Me and Sheldon, we got together. I did this work, and now I'm hired and I'm all done.
No,
I think that's a
GM now.
continual thing that you must keep doing.
Right?
I'd be surprised. I'm actually optimistic that the Oilers now need to be front of the pack when it comes to these things and championing initiatives and paying the price isn't it's not the right word, but I don't know, lazily I guess doing the work.
Right.
Yeah. No, they need to be front of the pack.
They don't have a good track record with the people they continually bring into their organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the answer, the subtext there, hey, have you spoken to John Doe too? The answer is he didn't say no. That's my guess. If he were to switch that to a yes or no answer, and as it pertains to the Chicago Blackhawks, they are still fighting this case in court. Mm-hmm. Still,
Yeah.
They in January tried to get it dismissed.
Which is
Half a year ago.
yeah.
Half a year ago.
I can't believe they're even fighting it at all.
Me neither, honestly.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But anyway,
It's already cost them millions, and it'll hopefully cost them millions more.
And what was the fine from the NHL?
$2 million?
$2 million.
$2 million.
And by the way, it wasn't against the cap. I believe if you compare the Coyotes, I think the Coyotes paid more.
No, they were fined like a home game.
Yeah. Yeah, the Coyotes. So like the Coyotes when John Chayka was working out junior athletes when he wasn't allowed to in a particular window, which is what they did. Mm-hmm. They were fined how many picks? And how much are those picks worth? Like a first round pick's like $3 or $4 million, right? Like it's not cheap.
Especially when you're bad.
Especially when you're bad. Yeah. And God bless the Coyotes. They accumulated all those picks and more anyway by just dealing any talent that they had off the roster. But the point is, I look at what the Blackhawks were fined, and I look at what the Coyotes were fined, and I'm like, you worked out some junior athletes, and you covered up a sexual assault scandal.
Even the Ottawa Senators, when they were trying to ingratiate a brand new owner into the club,
the Dadonov trade,
and then they get
He wasn't even there for it.
He gets sideswiped with this fucking fine of the picks, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, man,
the NHL is so backwards.
Well, and that player's going through legal proceedings. We mentioned that intern who they had an unwanted sexual advance from someone who should have never been there. That sounds like a lawsuit to me. I'm not a lawyer or anything. Like this is going to continue to follow the Blackhawks for a while.
Yep. How'd you sleep last night, big guy?
Oh, pretty good. Actually.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Because
he looks
sleep
He won't stop talking about his Helix sleep mattress.
Helix mattress. Helix mattress.
Mattress. Right.
Helix mattress.
Helix mattress.
Helix mattress.
That's right.
Got it.
Listen.
Helix.
No, Helix. 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 Come on, guys.
Madlix.
Listen, if you want a mattress, and you want a mattress, okay, are you what part of your body do you sleep mostly on? Are you side, back, forward?
Left side.
Left side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a very specific, I lie down on my right side to start to let my body shift into place as an old.
What?
And then I sleep on my left.
Jesse, what do you do?
Head. Sleep on the top of my head.
No, what do you just up against the? I don't know if Helix has got
like
a mattress
vampire. Just put me upside down.
Ceiling must be
It's
tall.
a good thing it
They
comes
got
with
the
pillows.
head mattresses.
Yeah, no, they got it. When you buy a mattress, it does come with 2 pillows.
That's all I need.
I
I
guess
need
so.
the length of my head.
Listen, normally, unless you're Jesse, you would do the Helix mattress quiz.
More efficient.
And it would recommend a mattress like it did with Steve, for what side of your body kind of feels best.
I got to talk to them about that.
Yeah, maybe they should stop not including you.
Yeah,
man.
it's a little discriminatory against people who sleep on their heads.
So every Helix mattress comes with a 15-year manufacturer's warranty and the same 100-night trial as the rest of Helix mattresses. And also, again, like I said, you get a couple pillows too, which is pretty sweet. Helix is offering up to 30% off all mattresses and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/SDP. Again, that's Helix, HELIX, sleep.com/SDP. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. So, as we always say when we're talking about these things, it's very difficult to find a good transition point to move on. So I'm just going to say that I believe we have fleshed out the issue, we've discussed it, and we have to move on to other things because there are other things going on in the NHL. Mm-hmm. And since we're some of the only media left, because everybody else is at their cottage,
Good for them.
Yeah, and you know what?
You want another Alex Nylander video there, Adam?
We haven't earned that. I will say this. Steve didn't give me credit, but the only reason that Alex Nylander video got done is because I forced him.
It's 100%.
Because Steve initially, you tweeted out, "I'm not doing this shit."
Yeah, and Adam texted me right away. It's okay. I was only having a great time with my son. And he's like, "Hey, you should make this Alex Nylander video." Yeah. And I was like, "I'll beat you up."
Yeah.
And you're like, "No, but like really, this is what we do." I'm like, "Oh, for fuck." And then poor Hayden messaged me joking that, "Hey, you should do an Alex Nylander video." I was like, "Relax, I'm doing it." And he's like, No. I wasn't. Poor Hayden thought it was because of him.
At 1:30 yesterday, Steve says, "I got to put my foot down on this one. LOL, new podcast tomorrow, though." That's somebody asking him if he's going to do the Alex Nylander video. Where's your foot? It's up in the air now.
Yeah.
It's not down. And there's Hayden replying, "Tell producer Drew I will edit it and Steve give the people what they want."
Yeah. And my agent actually cursed Adam out for making me do that video.
Your agent?
Yeah, I have
Alan?
the recording. I have the
Alan?
Yeah, do you want to hear from my agent what my
Sure,
agent had
yeah.
to say to Adam? Okay.
Is it Leo?
Say, Adam, you're a toilet.
Adam, you're a toilet.
Yeah, and also a butt.
You're a butt.
Oh my goodness.
And say poo.
Goodness, I can't believe you just said that.
And your pee. And you're a twinkle ballon.
What was that one?
I don't know what that is.
Banana canal and banana phone.
Say, Adam, we're eating rink fries
We're eating rink fries.
Yeah.
Have you had food while we were eating on the ice?
Oh, you eat
How long is this? Steve?
Longer than I remember.
Steve.
It's longer than I remember. I'm sorry.
One picture in the wallet is enough.
All right, you're gonna play a 40-minute video of Leo talking.
Listen, I love Steve because nobody thinks their kids are cuter than their own parents, right? But Steve goes a little overboard.
I didn't
sometimes
remember
in
it being that long.
No, you could have
All
cut
right,
it at any time.
let's get into the fries.
Yeah. Oh, the fries. What were they seasoned with?
Leo,
Nothing,
repeat
the
after
rink
me.
fries.
We're eating rink fries.
Yeah. Anyway,
He called you a Balalin.
a Balalin. Okay,
He's in a
well,
big make up words face.
No,
That's
that beginning first 5 minutes was good.
killer. Yeah, like he had a good tight 5 there.
You know?
Yeah, we got to work on the rest of it before we get to
last
HBO.
2 hours was really Killers of the Flower Moon there.
You know what? You guys are both.
Jesse, that's a good reference. That's a
a
good reference.
little long.
You know what? You're pee and butt and poo.
Anyway, as I explained to Steve, and this is an old reference for the OGs, do your goddamn job. Because that is your job, my friend. And,
Oh, you mean the Alex Nylander?
Yeah,
Oh,
do your job. And
Great signing.
Give us a video. And I like this. So let's get into it very quickly here. Alex Nylander played 14 games for the Penguins in 22-23 and 23-24 combined. Didn't score a lot, but if you look at his Wilkes-Barre Scranton numbers, 50 points in 55 games 2 years ago. Last year, he had 32 in 43 and then goes and plays for the Blue Jackets and puts up Kirill Marchenko numbers. 11 goals in 23 games, 4 assists.
40-goal pace.
That's
Over
crazy.
23 games, yeah.
That's crazy.
It tied him with over the same span from February 25th onward. It tied him in goal scoring with Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Connor McDavid, David Pasternak, Tyler Bertuzzi, who was hot as a pistol at the time, Yegor Sharangovich. There's so many names. He was one of the hottest goal scorers in the NHL.
Yes,
From
absolutely.
February 25th onward.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, this signing works for a few reasons. First off, the vibes.
Absolutely.
Second, guys, I don't know if you guys are aware that this guy is actually going to play for the Leafs next year. I know this is a Marlies
Maybe.
I
contract.
disagree.
Maybe.
He plays left wing. And who do we have on the left wing, guys?
Not a lot. They got Matthew Nyes, Bobby McMahon, Connor Dewar, ? Pontus Holmberg, ? It's skint.
It's Skint. And I think this guy is this is a great signing for me because my tinfoil hat belief is that he's going to make the team out of camp, no question. And
Wow.
they're going to sign him to an NHL deal as soon as the waiver thing is done.
So the waivers doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's not like Josh Hosang, where Josh Hosang came and he was on whatever Marlies deal and then he needed to sign and have entry waivers.
Right.
Nylander doesn't need entry waivers. He can just sign. As long as they have one of the 50 contract slots available, he can just go straight to the Leafs.
But that's my point, Jesse, is if you sign it after training camp, then you get to keep all your guys and him and not put anybody on waivers.
They don't even
Because
have
you're under the cap.
room to do that.
You're under the cap, right?
Right. But it doesn't really matter in the offseason.
It matters. So remember how you have to be cap compliant by the start of the season, right?
Yes.
There's that
Yeah,
cutoff.
the start the season, like day one of the regular season.
Right.
Yeah.
So my thinking is they sign him like day one, day 2.
Right.
And then they're able to move some stuff around and move people down and not lose them. That's my point.
It's possible.
It wouldn't make
You
a
don't think
difference.
so?
It wouldn't make a difference.
I think it makes a difference.
I
think it does.
It's hard.
I don't understand
it
what
does.
way it makes a difference.
It's
Fine.
it's real rare.
Like
to
the
go
Washington Capitals right now have more than 50 contracts.
Yeah.
Like if the Leafs wanted to do it, they could. So like it didn't matter if they did it now or that.
It's real hard to have an AHL contract and get an NHL contract mid-season. It's very rare. There have been players where we thought it was going to happen and it didn't.
I thought Kiefer Bellows, man.
I 100% thought Kiefer Bellows, Josh Hosang was another one. There are guys who will earn it in the offseason. If I'm not mistaken, Mason Marchment. If I'm not mistaken, Trevor Moore. Justin Hall was another guy. And those are all guys who have had very good they've played hundreds of NHL games
Yeah.
between them. Nylander, I think, is a guy who's just had terrible luck throughout his career, and maybe also shouldn't have gone 8th overall. I think he's going to do extremely well on the Marlies. I think he wanted to sign in a NHL city, and
They also need to score, the Marlies.
they need to score. And
Terrible
oh
scoring.
my God, he's going to rip it. I think he's just going to rip it up. Put him with someone like Nick Abruzzese, like a pass first playmaker. I think he's just absolutely going to tear it up. But like, does that help the Leafs?
I think we see him in like November. That's
He's going to play.
December.
He's gonna play.
I think injuries happen, and they're so because of the fucking core four. They are so light on the wing, and eventually a couple injuries will happen. Maybe by November, late November, early December, and Nylander's going to be next man up because he's going to do well with the Marlies. And I think eventually Nylander's on the Leafs at some point this season.
Yep.
That's my bet.
There was a good meme. There was like one Nylander at 11.5. Two Nylanders at 12.25.
Oh, yeah. I think that's just kind of, isn't that how it works?
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, Nick Robertson, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, and they're like a passing Leaf fan. And they're like, hey, so what's up with that Nick Robertson guy? And I said, well, his agent has said that he has no interest in signing with the Leafs. And that fan, and this is just an average fan, okay? If you're listening to the show, I don't think you're an average. You're like a hardcore bananas hockey.
We have exactly 0 average fans.
Yeah, you are hardcore.
Yes.
That person said, well, who the fuck does that guy think he is? And he instantly got mad. I was like, whoa, wait a second. And he's like, no. He's like, I like that guy. But he's like, that guy's not right. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? And I think this is also Nick Robertson insurance, because the Leafs can sit.
It's possible.
Well, because he's a depth scorer, right?
Yep.
And Nick Robertson scored 15 goals last year. If he plays this year, he's getting 20. Guaranteed. Now, will there be
I think I
defensive
agree.
lapses? Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's Max Domi too.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Nick Robertson is a player. He needs to earn more time. It's a new head coach. This is a new start. All these things. But if Nick Robertson goes, no, I'm sitting the season, I'm not doing it. Then
It
go, okay, well, we have Alex Nylander.
Come on. If Nick Robertson did that, it's like, I don't even want you here.
To me, if he signs
I think as the Toronto Maple Leafs, though, who have let RFAs dominate them when they have no freaking cards to play, the Leafs need to send a message here.
Yeah,
This has
if
gotta
Nick
change.
Robertson wants to sit out the season and miss a season of professional hockey, I let him sit and I don't trade him. I say, you're not playing for us ever and you're not playing for anybody else. We hold your rights. You can sit the whole season, because that's so ridiculous for you to be pulling that kind of shit.
like
It is ridiculous.
What leverage do you have,
It is
Robertson?
ridiculous. It is
Like,
ridiculous.
you get to sit the full year. Fuck you.
this isn't Nylander in his prime. Or, well, not in his prime. He's in his prime. This isn't Nylander in his contract dispute. This isn't Marner in his little contract dispute. Those were players in the 60-point range that could have gone higher and did.
Jake DeBrusk is so funny because now he's in Vancouver. He's like, yeah, I asked for a trade like 8 times in Boston. They wouldn't move me because they have my rights. They don't have to trade
And now
me.
he's a millionaire.
Yeah,
Like
and
a multi-millionaire.
And he's Jake DeBrusk, not Nick Robertson.
They did him an enormous favor by
Yeah.
being like, well, we want you actually, and we're going to keep you, and we're going to put you in a position to succeed. And then he did. Leafs did the exact same thing with Ilya Mikheyev,
Yep.
who fleeced the Canucks in free agency to the point where they had to tie a rocket to him and send him to the Blackhawks. Zadina was like, let me go.
Yeah.
And Red Wings said, we're going to let you go to the worst team in the league.
And
Go
now,
and play on their first line.
Where does Philip Zadina play right
He
now?
doesn't have a team.
Nobody. Plays with no one. Like, it's Nick Robertson has no leverage here, and it's ridiculous that he's not just like, oh, I'm going to put my head down and try and work for a spot in this lineup.
Honest to goodness, if he signs a deal with the Leafs, I automatically put him in the top 6, and I alternate Nyes and McMahon, which one of them plays on the third line, because I think they're better suited for it. Like, it's not I put one of them beneath Nick Robertson. It's for me doing what's best for the team.
Yeah.
The topic we're discussing is Nick Robertson.
Well,
It's Alex Nylander, but it all ties into the, the forward depth.
Alex's is a left winger who shoots right. The Leafs would like that. That's great.
Wingers are generally
Like, how much better is Connor Dewar than Alex Nylander?
I think it depends on what he does. Connor
Yeah.
Dewar is defense only. Don't put Connor Dewar in the offensive zone under any circumstance.
I think a fan would rather have Alex Nylander. A coach would rather have Connor Dewar. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And is it possible to have both? Hey, I have an mostly offense guy who's probably terrible in his own end. I haven't scouted Alex Nylander, guys. I don't know if you guys have really dug deep on the game footage.
Just make a shot.
But
if you look at a player and just their points and go, why are they struggling so hard to plant their roots?
Because they don't play
NHL?
defense.
It's either they don't play defense or they kind of suck in the room or both.
yeah, yeah, that's totally fair. The Connor Dewar is, if you put Connor Dewar and Alex Nylander together as one player, that's a $7 million player.
But it's not.
But it's not.
Right,
unfortunately.
So hey, but you're the Leafs. You need to get cheap guys. So you got two halves.
Got to do the dragon.
The thing you just said about the room and the defense thing, that was my whole thing about Daniel Sprong. Like,
Yeah.
Daniel Sprong fucking sucks at defense. Can't play it to save his life, but he has a decent shot and he gets a couple points every year, like half a point a game.
And Pettersson needs the wingers, man.
There's the reason he didn't have a job until very far into free agency.
At this point in the summer, like, okay, I am a offense first.
Bottom 6.
Yeah, they just do not need those players.
You go
Most
down
teams
the
don't need
list
those players.
of guys who couldn't find jobs. They kind of all fall in that little category.
Yeah.
And Nylander's another one who's a bottom 6 offensive first guy, which isn't very useful to most hockey teams.
I will bet confidently Daniel Sprong got a more lucrative offer earlier in the summer, turned it down, and Alex Nylander had gotten NHL offers, but opted for this. And that's fine.
I think it'd be so cool if Nylander and Nylander play on the same team together at some point.
I hope they don't do the W.
I
Nylander
was
and the A.
just gonna
Nylander.
say-
They wear different numbers. I think people can understand.
Nope.
No, you can't.
I want the limited edition.
I want that.
W.
I'm on Steve's side.
Yeah.
I want W and A.
So you guys want to be treated like children.
No, I want to be treated
Because
special.
you can't tell
like
the
I am.
difference between the Nylanders with different numbers.
That's
No,
right.
they have the same name. Got to put the little thing.
It's confusing.
Stop it.
It's how are
Both of you
people
need to
going to
stop
know?
it. How are people
And you
gonna
know what?
The different numbers is how they know.
You know what?
That's why
I'm
you
getting-
number the players.
I'm getting the Alex jersey.
Guys,
that's
there
the
was a
fun
time
thing
when the
to
Leafs
do.
didn't put the name on the back at all, and the only difference you had was the number.
Now, wait a sec. If I'm not mistaken,
There's also a time when like women couldn't vote.
That's
you want
true,
to take us
but I'm
back
not
to those
trying-
times?
What
Why
my
are you trying to
point
bring
is,
us back into
we
the olden
already
days?
have a system for this, and it works great, and it's called numbers.
Yeah, no, Adam wants to take us back.
Oh, God.
were you born in the wrong generation?
Anybody who says that, shut up.
Adam loved the Great Depression.
No. I hate those TikToks. But by the way, this is me if I were dressed in the 40s. Like, shut up. You would not want to be
That's
in the 40s.
Adam.
Shut
Adam,
up.
what do you think about? Oh, more like the Greatest Depression.
Yeah.
Here, let me talk about it some more.
Adam calls them the greatest generation.
There's nothing wrong with calling them that, but I'm just saying I would not have wanted to be. The greatest generation implies you went through a lot of bad shit, okay?
Generally,
I don't want that.
Adam
Thanks.
looks at 1942 and he's like, take me back.
No, I want it 70s boomer easy. Okay?
Oh, you want 70s?
That's what I want.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I want. When you could work 9 to 5 and it's like, oh, here's my 4,000 square foot house.
yeah, for a box of raspberries,
Exactly.
and a nickel you found in your couch.
Anyway, but continue.
All right, so no names on the back of jerseys, Adam says. Yeah.
If I'm not
No
mistaken,
forward pass, yeah.
Yeah, Adam wants it like baseball.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, guys on AHL contracts can play preseason games, which means we may get this in the preseason.
Oh, that's
Even if
cool.
Alex Nylander, never signs an NHL deal. We may get Willie and Alex in the same uniform with W and A.
If they get an assist to a goal, Nylander to Nylander, sign him to an NHL contract.
Nope. No. The
Like, make it happen.
I want them
think-
on the same line.
number of assists and also number on jersey because you can't put the initials. It's not allowed, right, Adam?
Shut up.
It's not allowed, right?
You need to shut up. Right
Why do you
there.
hate modern times?
I don't hate modern times. By the way, wouldn't the best line in preseason be Max Domi between the two Nylanders? The all who gives a shit line? No defense.
All our dads played in the NHL line.
That's half the NHL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah.
It's true.
Do they make a whole line though?
What do you mean? Do they make a whole line?
Like, is there an entire line in the NHL that's all sons of former NHLers?
We just need two defensemen.
That's a D pair.
Well, we have Nylander, Domi, Nylander. So there's
Right.
there's a
No, he's asking like right now, is there a line in the NHL?
Oh.
Not can we make
I don't
one?
think so. Oh, I think you meant
Hypothetically.
like when you make them out of NHL.
No.
players.
Is there
Oh
a
no,
line
of
right
course
now?
you could.
Yeah. Of course.
I don't
But
think
is there one?
Is there one right now?
I don't think so.
That's a good question.
Maybe
I think
two.
a Nepo line would be sick.
Yo, the Nepo?
Yeah, instead of baptism by fire, but nepotism by fire. Put it against the Leafs. You see, like give me a bad newspaper headline. I'm your man.
Ooh. Sons of, and then it's got to be like a play on anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, you just do Sons of Anarchy, and because they scored. That's it. Sons of Anarchy. That's it.
I don't know, man.
Done.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
it
it's got to
works.
be bad.
It does have to be bad.
Sons
Yeah.
of Anarchy. There it is. Our favored sons.
Fortunate Sons,
Fortunate Sons.
like the CCR song.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's an
definitely what I
old
was
reference.
thinking of.
I'm glad that you
Fortunate
I'm
Sons.
glad that you know that. Yeah. Anyway, we can come back to this. We don't need to stick on this topic too long. Yes.
Hey,
yes.
Hayden, do you have thoughts?
Yes, Hayden.
Hold on. There you go.
I think the closest we got with the Leafs this year, I was calling it the Nepo line at home. Bertuzzi was on a line with Nylander and Domi.
Oh yeah, there's
Oh,
one.
dad, uncle.
Uncle. Yeah. That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
I like that.
This is the family reunion line.
I'm trying to look through some of the family connections, but I can't do it enough. I can't build a whole line. Or if somebody will message us, let us know in the YouTube comments or on Twitter or something if there's any line. It's got to be a full line that played in the NHL. That's all Nepo babies.
And then
let
we'll
us
do
know if you got it.
Whole starting roster.
Yeah. There you go. All-star team.
Yeah.
All-star kids.
We need goalies.
all the Sutters.
Just all of them.
well, I guess the kid Sutters, right?
Oh, Adam.
Brandon
This
Sutter.
show is going to be 3 hours long.
I know.
We get into that.
I know. I want to talk to you about one of my favorite segments of this entire year came pretty recently when we talked about just how old Cliff Fletcher is.
Man.
And how many things have happened over Cliff Fletcher's life. Like, here's what was in vogue when Cliff Fletcher started in hockey, and it was like the late 60s. He started in the NHL. Lance Hornby of the Toronto Sun has confirmed that Cliff Fletcher renewed his contract with the Leafs for another year as senior advisor. He is soon to be 89 years old, doesn't get
my
out to many
goodness.
games, but he said he puts in a full day with a bank of televisions and a computer streaming service to watch NHL, Junior, AHL, and NCAA games at home.
Wow.
I think that's pretty cool. I want to see that wall of TVs.
I also do. How many of them are like the big wood, like
The
the
cabinet
tube
TVs. I had the thunk.
Oh,
when
of
you turned them
course.
up.
Oh yeah. Does his remote? My Nona used to have her remote. It was like a little box that had a switch on it where you went up and down it, gring, 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 and naturally we'd fuck with it every Christmas and wreck it. But yeah, she had that thing since the 70s.
You used to call it a clicker because it would click.
Yeah,
Remotes don't do that anymore.
Dude.
They used to click. It'd be like a thunk.
more like Click Fletcher.
I remember I had a TV that was so old that you could not, there was no remote for it. You had to go, it only had 13 channels, and you had to go up and press which channel you wanted right on the television.
One of my favorite, like, just little anecdotes for like how technology changes is I had to help my grandpa set up his TV, like HDMI and all that. You know what his trade was? Television repairman.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
But like
it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
He was born in 1925.
Yeah. So Cliff Fletcher, 89, will be with the Leafs again this year. Again, another round of applause.
Good for him.
Your boy Cliff.
I held on this long. I'm getting my damn ring.
Patrik Laine has been cleared and he is ready to come back. Teams have been given permission to speak to his agent to try to work out a contract deal, not a contract, excuse me, a trade, because he's got 2 years left on his deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets, but they'll obviously want to speak to him first. It feels like he'll start the year with Columbus, doesn't it? At this point.
Well, I mean, what we're seeing by the complete lack of signings and the fact that any signings we are seeing are either under $1 million or not an NHL contract, it just feels impossible for a team to acquire this player without sending something large back in terms of salary. I've seen some Habs fans getting all hot and bothered about the idea of like Laine for Josh Anderson. I think if Josh Anderson has any say, he would probably block a trade back to Columbus.
And he probably does have a say.
I don't know.
Bergevin handed those out like candy.
Well, and I mean, he had a 7-year deal, right? Like maybe the no trade is his bloody contract. It's difficult to see a team having the wiggle room to include a guy like Laine in a way that makes any sense. Like, could teams do it? Yeah, there are teams with space. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot of internal budgets. And, you also...
Like, you look at a team like the Ducks, it's like, well, the Ducks could. Yeah, but they're not winning, so they have an internal budget.
Well, and you also just... Laine is fascinating, and this has been the case since like 2 or 3 years into his career. You have no idea what you're getting, ever. Are you going to get a guy who's going to score no goals this month? Are you going to get a guy who scores 20 goals this month? The answer is often yes. Like he's one of the streakiest players going, where his shot is just a touch of God or completely useless.
It might be best for him with a new coach and a new outlook from the top down in Columbus. Don Waddell doesn't mess around. I'm a big fan of that guy.
Maybe his new team is Columbus.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Put him with Johnny Hockey. Mm-hmm. Put a capable center in between the two of them, and make something happen.
Stop screwing around with this Laine at center.
Oh no, Laine is not going to be a center. No, he's not a center.
I know.
Put Ken Johnson in there. Call it a day. Another headline has to do with the Coyotes, but it's good.
Oh,
Are you ready? Now, one of the things that we've talked about on this show plenty of times is the Suns have a great owner. Mm-hmm. Matt Ishbia, who took over from the last guy who created a brutal working culture there, and it was so bad that the NBA owners forced him out. Mm-hmm. Matt Ishbia took over. He sent out, you could sign up for an antenna so you could get local Suns games to your house. This guy is intent on building sports in Arizona. And here's what he said in the Phoenix Mercury. Sorry, not in the Phoenix Mercury. That's the team.
That's the WNBA team.
what is the? I can't remember the publication.
The Gazette.
The Gazette.
I
NBA's Phoenix Suns and the
Tribune
WNBA's
The
Phoenix
Sun.
Mercury. As soon as I said that, I was like, oh, okay. And he also talked to Sportico. That's where this one comes from. He said he would be interested in bringing an NHL team back to Arizona. He said, I'm definitely going to be a part of the community, and if I can help bring hockey back, I'll look at that. It's definitely something I'm interested in. It's a 4-sport town. I'm disappointed we don't have a hockey team, but I understand what happened, and we're going to try to fix that one day. And what's interesting about that quote is that if you'd asked him 2 years ago, he said, not interested, not getting involved.
It was the owner. I think it was always the owner. And here we go. Now they can begin to heal. I think...
I wouldn't be surprised if the next 2 expansions are Phoenix and Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Atlanta seems to be the closest. They got 2 or 3 groups that are involved there. You get Phoenix, Atlanta, and you got to do Houston at some point too.
Yeah, they already got like the rink and everything.
Yeah.
Right? Where the Rockets play. I assume that could be converted. I don't know if there's ice in it yet, but the arena's there. You know,
and it's such a big market. You have to get.
Yeah.
You got to get Texas.
I feel horrible for Coyotes fans, but like I guess starting from complete scratch is just what they had to do.
Yeah, I like this. I think this guy's the guy. And he also, listen, Matt Ishbia is not stupid. If he owns the Coyotes, the NBA and the WNBA teams, you become pretty successful.
The mayor?
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at this, the power that MLSE has in Toronto. Like all sponsorships and everything flows through them. It's why mega corporations like Rogers and Bell bought it. There's so much money and so much cachet with owning that. This guy is setting himself up. Hey, and I bet the NHL's already on his doorstep going, let's do this. Let's work out the fee and let's make it happen.
Do you live in the greater Phoenix area? Are you looking to have a night out? Give me money. Like that's basically
100%.
odds are you have to give him money
Yeah.
unless you're going to a club, and he might own that too. I don't know.
He made his money somehow. Wasn't in pro sports.
I don't know.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Mortgages, I believe.
What is it? Mortgage?
Mortgages.
Oh,
yeah.
there you go. He owns your house.
Yeah.
No. He owns the mortgage on your house.
Oh,
He just makes money on your payments. It's easy.
poors own houses. Riches own mortgages.
That's right.
Got
That's
it.
right. That's right. It's like you don't buy the Tesla, you buy the Tesla stock. right?
Yeah.
That's the old adage.
Oh.
That's that.
Or you used to. Now you
No,
don't buy
I-
the Tesla
I
stock.
don't think you do that
You don't
anymore.
buy the Tesla stock.
Now it's Nvidia.
It's not going well. Nvidia?
yeah. Aren't they the number one stock in
Oh,
the last year or something?
Yes,
like
they
that?
are.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do,
I don't
but
know
I've
who
seen
they
it on TikTok.
It's computers.
Okay,
Chips
that's good for them.
and GPUs.
Lastly, Dean Evason again, who has laser eyes just like Bill Zito. The Columbus Blue Jackets open their season against producer Hayden's Minnesota Wild.
Fun.
Dean Evason finally came out and was honest, and said what everybody already knew, which is he said when ex-coaches go in and say this game means nothing to me, that's such bull
Yeah, he said bull.
because it means something.
Yeah.
So look for the Columbus Blue Jackets to get fired up this year.
I just loved that a lot and was really happy he said that. Because
Me too.
All of a sudden made me fired up for Minnesota Columbus, which I haven't been since expansion. For both of them in the
Since
same
Andrew
sentence?
Burnett played for both teams.
Yeah. Like, no. Like them separately, sure.
Yeah.
Together at the same time, no.
Marty St. Louis also jumped into the headlines this past week, and he said he was talking about how Steven Stamkos, what leaving Tampa was like and signing in Nashville. And he said he's going to look back on his career, and I think he's going to be happy that he experienced something else.
That is really interesting because you never hear that. You always hear the cautionary tale.
Grass isn't always greener. But in this case, Steven liked the grass that he had. The grass just didn't like him back.
This isn't a case of like, I got a year or two left. This is a player who has an abundance of hockey left.
He's got game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because both he and St. Louis left Tampa at similar spots in their career. What everyone forgets about St. Louis is he was coming off an Art Ross trophy from the lockout shortened season, then was left off the Canadian Olympic team by his own GM, and asked for a trade, goes to the Rangers, and ends up going to the final. The next year, Tampa went to the final too, by the way. Like both teams did pretty well. People forget that. It's
Can I ask a question?
This isn't Alfredson. This isn't Modano. This is a player who had a lot of time left. So I don't blame St. Louis for saying that.
I know Brisebois has won a bunch of cups. And I know he was a part of the management group under Steve Yzerman that built those teams. But as a general manager, we said Stan Bowman inherited a Lamborghini with the engine on. So did Julian Brisebois.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but he perfected it and made it the champion.
He did.
And he kept it going.
He did. Now, my question with Julian Brisebois is this Stamkos move a real career? Like, there's certain moves that you make as a general manager that make or break your career. Is this decision one of them?
No.
Not that it would break it, but maybe his time in Tampa comes to an unceremonious end and then he works somewhere else. Or is this just a move along the way?
You look at the 3 trips to the Cup final, the 2 rings that he has, and he probably just sticks them up and he shows you them in the camera, and he says, look at that. That's my legacy right there, and I'm trying to extend that by this move with Stamkos, and I'm being heartless here because I think I can get maybe another cup, a couple more cups. So I think Brisebois' legacy is kind of cemented with that, and that we give him the credit for building this team and making it what it is, and that this is just a casualty of his hard-nosed GMing. I don't know if you guys disagree.
You know what? I think that this story goes away as soon as the puck drops. Does that make sense? Like, I am going to be following Steven
No
Stamkos
way.
all the way through Nashville. When Nashville and Tampa play, that'll be interesting or whatever.
People are going to be, if Nashville's hot and Tampa's stupid or terrible, everyone's going to be calling him stupid.
I think you have to go more than that. If Stamkos is scoring and Tampa's not.
Right.
Also fair.
And like, what
Because
does
Nashville, we
Gensel
know, is
do?
a good team. What's that?
You know, like what's Gensel going to do in Tampa? You know, if
Yes.
he doesn't show up, then you're like, Stamkos probably should have still been there because we forget. Like, see, remember when he signed in Nashville and I was like, Stamkos scored 40 goals and had 41 assists, and you were like, what? You know, we forgot that Stamkos had an amazing last season.
Phil Kessel and Tyler Seguin were compared to each other forever because of that Leafs-Bruins trade. This wasn't a trade, but a little bit.
They made the swap. That's
It's
the
a
reason
swap.
they don't want Stamkos anymore because they got Gensel.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Younger, cost
Stamkos and
controlled.
Gensel are absolutely going to be compared.
They're linked forever now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, I think that's going to be microanalyzed.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Well, this will be fun then.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. Okay. Should we do a quick press conference?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
I have for you Nepo baby talk.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Because I did some digging, and one team that really stands out to me with the amount of Nepo babies, and maybe we got a line out of it last season, is the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, they just signed Tyler Bertuzzi, so he doesn't count, but this
I know
upcoming
one.
season,
I know one.
This upcoming season, Tyler Bertuzzi will add to the Nepo baby tally of the Blackhawks. Let's go through the other members of the Blackhawks who are currently Nepo babies. Okay. We'll start with Philip Kurashev, who is the son of former Russian hockey player Konstantin Kurashev, who played in the KHL.
I didn't play in the NHL.
You're not counting it.
Nope.
All right.
Played pro, but he didn't play NHL.
Let's move over to Mr. Nick Foligno.
Yes, that was the
Who
one I was
is-
worried about.
Right.
The son of Mike Foligno, who
Yes.
played a long time for the Buffalo Sabres.
Okay.
So we have a Nepo baby there.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Do you count this one?
Okay.
Connor Bedard, little known Nepo baby.
What?
Connor Bedard's great uncle, James Bedard, played 22 games for the Blackhawks.
No way.
Between 1949 and 1951.
I had never heard that
James
in my life.
Bedard.
That's
How
a
come no
fun
one said a
fact.
story on James Bedard?
James Bedard played his great uncle.
That's cool. If somebody comes out with a story about James Bedard, by the way, I know you're a listener of this show. Because sometimes
yeah.
we do things. I'm like, I feel like that wasn't brought up, and then so and so's doing a story on it.
Jimmy Beds.
James Bedard. So
Never heard of that.
Connor Bedard. Basically, if you go through every NHL player, there's some sort of athlete in their family, you know. But
Genghis Khan.
next up, we'll go to Lucas Reichel, whose father is Martin Reichel, who played in the Czech League.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Robert.
Robert Reichel.
Robert Reichel. Lucas Reichel's the nephew of Robert Reichel. So there's two connections there
Wow.
in Nepo baby land of the Reichel.
See, I think that's better than Kurashev because at least Robert played, right? If we're going to count
Yes.
Tyler, or we're not going to count Tyler.
No, we can count that. So there you go with the forward group of the Blackhawks who have some sort of Nepo baby connection. I didn't do the defense, but the forward group, there you go.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
That's some good.
So
That's a good digging.
I don't know
Jesse.
if there's a combination of like a Reichel, Bedard, Kurashev line that played last season, but that would have counted as a like all pro hockey player Nepo baby line.
Yeah.
If that was a line, maybe.
Did Bertuzzi? Oh yeah, we already talked about Bertuzzi with Domi and Nylander.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. And Seth Jones, doesn't Seth Jones have some sort of?
Caleb Jones.
Popeye Jones is his uncle or his dad? I think it's his dad. Popeye Jones is a basketball player. Played for the Raptors. Oh. Yeah.
And yeah, his brother is Caleb,
Mm-hmm.
and they could have been a pair. We have the all nepotism starting lineup. No, goalies, they keep ruining it. The goalies keep ruining it. There's not enough nepotism in goaltending. I demand more nepotism in goaltending.
Yeah.
All right.
That's crazy.
That's your Nepo baby talk. Please send us in if you got a full Nepo baby line or any other Nepo baby stuff from
I
the
bet there's going to
NHL
be
this
some
past season.
really good references.
Yeah.
Let's run them on Wednesday.
We'll do it. We'll do them in the press conference in Wednesday.
Love that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. First question comes from Mo Bailey Joe. Wants to know, are you guys having a Brat Summer?
That's That's a great question.
Is it?
We had to reach out to Maddie while she's on her European vacation to be like, are you aware of Kamala Harris being called Brat? Oh, no, you know what it was? I texted her. I go, they're having a full-on conversation on breakfast television this morning.
About that?
About...
Did they make Sid talk about that?
Sid Sixero's talking about
Yes.
Kamala Harris being called Brat by Charlie XCX.
Yeah. So, by the way, there are a bunch of media outlets. If you're wondering what a Brat Summer is, it's essentially encourages enjoying life as much as you can in spite of the struggles you are facing. Means bold, taking risks, and embracing the uncomfortable.
That's how you do like
That's
the
the
old
boomer.
people definition.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I had to do it.
I think it's one of those words where if you have to look up the definition, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Am
You're
I-
right.
Well, yeah. Obviously, guys, I had to give context for the people on
Yeah,
the
but
show.
if you have to give context, then you just don't get it.
I think giving context is for the people that don't get it, and I think that's an
fair.
important
That's fair.
tool on this show.
Fair.
And I know something about being a tool. But I do want to tell you that yes, I will be having a Brat Summer, and by that I mean my full vacation with Natalie when she takes a week off will be between the hours of 9 and 5 because we have a kid, and so we'll put her off to daycare, and because we're like, well, we could go for the cottage for the week, but then we have to entertain her the whole time, and daycare does a better job than we do. Like they had last week, they had a bikes and scooters day. And I felt like it was like bike week because all these kids rolling up like, yo,
Nice.
here's my CCM Canadian Tire
Toddlers
special.
stunting on each other.
Absolutely.
Adam, you know what you got to get into?
What?
You got to get into sending her to sleepaway camp.
Oh,
like
not yet.
Like a 2-week, like you're going to tennis camp or just whatever camp it is, and you just get rid of her for a couple
I
weeks.
can't wait.
Oh, yeah.
I'll send her the whole summer. I don't care. No, I'm kidding. I couldn't do that. But I cannot wait for sleepaway camp. My wife has never done it. And so she was like, well, no, she's not going to do that. I'm like, what do you mean she's not going to do that? And she's like, well, but, and I don't think Everly's mom did it either. And so I'm like, listen, family meeting here. She's doing it.
Did you
It's
guys go
the
to camp?
best.
I never did a
Sleepaway
camp.
camp's the best.
I never did a camp.
No.
I did it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like sleeping in your cabin with like 15 other people and somebody farts and everybody starts laughing. It's the best. It's the best experience you'll have as a like preteen or teenager.
I didn't get that experience till grade 8
Really?
when I was in leadership camp.
Leadership
was
camp was
really
fun. And I remember there was a high school leadership
Or
camp
was
as
it?
well.
No, maybe it was high school.
No. Sweet. It's the best.
No,
Like,
you know what? It wasn't grade 8. Yeah, you're right. It was.
I was
it
at
high
leadership
school.
camp.
My girlfriend Gabby went to a camp. I think it was like northern New York area, like top of the states there, and like all the 3 girls in her family went to it, and they all still talk about it, like every time they're because they all went for all 4 years they were eligible, and then they went to the camp, and then they all became counselors, and they all went through the thing. It's like the best time of their lives.
Yes.
They still talk about it all the time.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I would want that for her. I think sleepaway camp is like the best. It's also kind of scary. And it pushes your boundaries a little bit. You see your parents leave and you're like, I am here in like Lord of the Fliesville, right? You got to remake an entire social system like it's high school or it's middle school in like 2 days. Who's the cool ones? All right, have we decided? Who's the hot ones? Have we decided?
Adam, did we go to leadership camp together?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we had. Do you remember the night he was a year older than us? Someone bet him he couldn't pee and run at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. I remember Mike. I can't say, I know his last name too. and he like, we're like, you can run backwards and he keeps trying to run forwards and pee. And like Mike, just back, running backwards counts.
Oh shit! I forgot about
Very funny.
That's
It's a good time.
that's one hell of a visual.
one of the hardest laughs I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Anything else?
We'll end on this just because I wanted to get to a couple other ones, but we can save them for Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll
But
have
this
a
one
longer
relates
one
to what
Wednesday.
we were just talking about. Towel Sneeze on Twitter writes, this one is for Steve and Adam. When you change diapers on your kiddos, do you prefer for them to lay sideways or towards you?
Towards.
Toward staring down the barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it make a difference? The side
Well, if
or-
you have a little boy, they can pee on you.
Yeah.
And I didn't have one, so it never bothered me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess they can catch you off
Sure
guard.
can. I got one of each.
Yeah, the girls are easier, I think, when it comes to changing diapers.
Well, then they can pee all over themselves, though.
Yeah, that's fine, though. You can change all that out and wipe them down.
Yeah, but I don't want to. Consider. I
think ideally you don't get peed on or have them pee on themselves, but it's going to happen.
I'm very good at keeping everything very calm.
Oh, yeah. I was
And just switch it out very fast.
I was lightning. I actually was in a diaper changing competition once. Did I tell you guys this?
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
I
like on
remember
stage at a thing, right?
At a Pamper. I did a thing with Pampers.
like convention center. Or
yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
and they were like
I remember.
talking to dads about being a dad, and they're like, "Okay, here you go." And I was like, done. And I did it, and the other dads were like, "Whoa."
Didn't you? Wasn't the guy who built houses? Was he there?
There was a few
Noah?
guys. Yeah, there were like influencers.
Yeah.
And stuff. The guy who built.
Who am I thinking about?
Wait, it was Devin Saltendijk,
Holmes?
who used to be a VJ at Much
I
Music.
think maybe
it
I
was
was
his
thinking-
production company.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking of Mike Holmes.
No, it
but
wasn't Mike.
No,
he wasn't there.
No.
But there were some other guys that like flipped houses, and that was their influencing.
Oh, maybe
Lane.
Yeah,
And I was like, man, I don't even belong here. These guys have like 500,000 followers, and I'm like, here I am with my 25,000, and like, but anyway, yeah, won that.
my sister has a gripe with you, Steve.
Oh.
and your child.
Oh,
Because you keep calling yourself a girl dad.
yeah.
And she says that
I'm so much better than.
in her circle and like the definition of girl dad, Adam's the only one who would qualify as a girl dad. Because
What?
to be a girl dad, you have to only have girls. But you have a girl and a boy, so you're just a regular dad. So you used to be a boy dad, but then you got a girl, so now you're just a dad. So she thinks it's wrong. Every time you call yourself a girl dad, she thinks you're taking the girl dad title when you shouldn't have it. And Adam's the only correct girl dad in this circle.
I've never heard that definition.
That's how my sister.
That
Michelle
means that
defines
Russell Wilson
girl
can't
dad.
call himself a girl dad anymore either. He's the guy that like
He's got a boy?
popularized it. Yeah, he's got 4 kids, and I believe
Is even one of them a boy? Because if they are,
Yeah.
One of them
he
is-
can go fuck himself.
one of them's a boy, 3 are girls.
So
Son of a gun.
Sorry,
So I
Russell
think
Wilson.
we gotta debate this because you might not be able to call yourself a girl dad.
Damn, I don't.
Yeah.
Listen, I did not make the term up. I have never used the term. I've always found that I don't know, man. It is different being a father to a son than it is to a daughter. I'm I don't have any experience, and I will never have any experience having a son. But I will tell you this: I don't need a label. Yeah. I'm a freaking dad, and I'm raising a kid, and I'm trying to raise her to be as intelligent and kind and self-sufficient as possible. I don't know, man.
Jesse, you can tell your sister
Yeah.
as a girl dad. I find that a bit misogynistic.
Wow, is that?
funny.
Hold on. Does she have ingrained misogyny?
Internalized.
Internalized misogyny.
Yeah.
Wow, Michelle, so disappointed.
I think
Michelle,
I don't
noted
know.
chauvinist.
I think I'm gonna side with the girl in this situation.
Whoa.
No, listen.
Okay, but okay, she's cornered the market on girl.
Yeah.
But I got dad. Right?
So there's like an even stake here.
I think we got 2 things we got to come back next show on, and the listeners need to
you need to tell
decide.
us.
One is we need your nepo baby lines from last year if that happens.
Yes.
2 is what is the correct definition of girl dad?
Oh,
Does-
I thought it was, is Jesse's sister a misogynist?
No, that lends to this conversation.
Oh, okay. All right.
If Steve is or isn't a girl dad, because I think you kind of only need to have girls to be a girl dad, but we'll see.
I like
so
that.
interesting. I've never
By the way,
heard that definition.
we never talk about how cool Jesse's sister is, but Jesse's sister one of the coolest people in the world. I just want to throw that out there.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, now she's a misogynist.
That's what I thought.
All
too.
right.
All right, let's wrap it up, boys.
As a girl dad,
We'll be back.
I don't think I stand for.
We will
what
be
she
back
stands for.
on Wednesday. We will have VIP this week as well. And then next week, we will start releasing our summer VIP episodes.
Yeah.
So you could say that Wednesday is our last SDP of this particular season. How crazy is that?
It's not that crazy.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.